Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Paradigm Drift. My name is Anastasia.
I'm Shiloh.
And this is the place where we search for the theories and the ideas that are going to change the world, in contrast to our normal format where we go out into the world and we find a so-called expert that is going to tell us about how something works and educate the hoi polloi and us. Here we invite the hoi polloi to take the microphone.
Maybe you are the expert. We don't even know it yet.
Exactly. Do you want to tell the good people how it works?
Yeah, this is a show where we are going to give you 60 seconds if you're pulled from the cup, the boiler,
the camp stove
of fate. If your name gets pulled, you will have 60 seconds to present your idea. If you fail to finish within 60 seconds, you are going to hear the sound of a gong. I screwed that up, actually. That's not quite how it goes. You're actually going to hear the timer go off first. Gosh, it's almost like I only do this once a month or something. You're going to hear the timer go off, and it's going to sound like that. And if you don't stop, then we will cut you off with the gong. And then you will stop, and you will find yourself on DemystifySci, as a normal podcast interview would go. And we will try to unpack what you've been up to with this idea, who you are, how you came up with it, where we go next. And if we all have a great time, maybe we'll just invite you to come back and do it again without signing up next time.
There's a couple things, a couple pieces of business. Business, perhaps. Okay, so normally we have regulars. This time we do not have regulars. People tend to be split on the subject of regulars. Some people really enjoy them, some people don't. So we're trying it this week without any invited spots.
We also have another person to bring in to help us out with Paradigm Drift number 8, right?
Yeah.
Why don't we hang out with Michael while you figure this out? Because I need somebody to talk to. Hey, what's up, dude?
Great.
Hey.
Good to see you again. Long time no see.
Has been a moment, yeah. Good.
Oh, man. Michael, what have you been up to lately?
I've been deep in research. It's been cool. Published my paper a few months ago, and so now trying to prove what I proposed in that paper, and that's been an adventure. So a lot of time on the microscope. When I last chatted with you guys, I was in Utah. Now I'm back in Memphis.
Yeah, you look so bright-eyed compared to the end of your Utah saga. I think we caught you at the end of a very intense week, it seemed like.
Yeah, I just finished like a 100-mile backcountry Jeep tour, so I was pretty pooped. But
nice. Well, I'm glad you're here, man. This is going to be interesting. We have how many people we have signed up right now, Nastia?
More than 40 people have signed up. So, I have already picked a name from the hat.
Yeah, let's go.
And this name is, I can see that this person is here. This name is Abby Lutz. So Abby is going to be our very first person.
Yeah, Abby was here last time.
She was. And so we started asking people to submit names of theories. And so Abby's theory is called The End of the Death Standard.
Whoa.
So
all right, so Abby, you're up on deck. Get ready.
I want to play us in a little bit.
Oh yeah, let's have a little bit of music, or I don't know, maybe.
You're just gonna play sound effects.
Hey, there's no sound effects. This is all live studio sound effects.
All right, welcome, Abby. It is good to see you. And I did not stack that deck. That was the universe itself providing.
That is so crazy.
All right. Ready?
Yes. Minute on the clock, and you got a minute?
I do.
And 1, 2, 3. Let's do it.
The End of the Death Standard: Rethinking Death, Scarcity, and Meaning in an Infinite Universe. What happens when humanity stops using death to measure meaning? Our financial and meaning systems work like language, symbolic maps. Money represents value, but it isn't value itself. Death works the same way. It became the unit of account for life. Time feels meaningful because it ends, and resources feel scarce because we assume life is finite. But death, like money, is an agreed upon construct. a useful illusion, and training wheels for a young species. When astronauts feel the overview effect, the fear isn't dying. It's confronting infinity with a psychology built for limits. That moment exposes the wisdom of uncertainty. Meaning can't be outsourced to mortality or scarcity. Immortality isn't never dying. It's no longer needing death to organize meaning. Humanity isn't afraid of dying. We're afraid of who we become without limits. Our next step is maturing into a species that can navigate infinity without fear.
Yeah. All right. Come on. I can get behind that.
All right.
Absolutely.
I love that. Okay, so Abby, you have kind of an interesting story. What do you do for work?
For work, I am a nurse and a death doula.
So what does that mean to be a death doula?
But it's kind of a death doula is sort of like non-medical support through end of life. It's kind of like a birthing doula. You have sort of, there's a little bit of the spiritual and just sort of like, I don't know, kind of the things we've done since, humanity began that we know how to do. It's just someone kind of there.
Do the dying people hire you for this job, or is it through like a healthcare network, or is it through the family, or like does everybody get a death doula? Is that a new thing? Am I gonna get one?
Yeah, it's actually not a super new thing. It's a very old thing. But it is starting to sort of make a comeback. There are like hospices are starting to hire doulas like as a part of the hospice, services that are provided. And then people do hire them, like independently. I think right now it's kind of like the psychedelic facilitator thing. Like most of the people that are actually making like a full living on like being a death doula are actually the ones that are teaching like certification courses for death doulaship. It's not really it's not a super lucrative career at this point. But I think it can be. And kind of like this theory is kind of, my response to like, and I've heard it not just like with death doulas and death workers, everybody's saying that like death is what gives life meaning. I mean, I've heard like Alex Hormozy saying it lately, and I think that misses.
Don't know who that is. Sorry.
I think it's somebody in Twitter.
That's a Twitter person. Sorry, I'm not on Twitter. I'm sorry. I live under a rock.
He's this close.
Yeah.
He's like this close.
Like a bro business dude. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's saying that death is what gives life meaning is great if you want to exist in this, like in a finite universe. But I think that to, become spacefaring and to become immortal, it's not a physical immortality. We have to sort of expand our, cognitive and psychological horizons.
God, I wish I could. I want to believe that so badly. Michael, what do you got, man?
I really love your pitch of 1 minute. I think that it's really cool that you equated our feelings of death to money, and you kind of gave us this little equation where immortality is not really needing death as this like marker or endpoint. So I think that's like wonderfully put. I'm kind of curious about so the end of the death standard. Like, what is the standard now? What would you like it to be?
What I think that it's the end of the physical. And I think that in general, death doulas and end of life care is doing a really good job of preparing you for your physical mortality. But I think we also need to sort of pay attention to the you that doesn't die, that energy that's neither created nor destroyed and continues on. And I think you definitely train to sort of, if you don't want to just sort of disperse your consciousness into, the one, I think you can train to sort of retain some of that and kind of where you don't forget. Do you know what I mean? Like where we end the forgetting in that cycle.
Right, so like, you can just how you can train to kind of remember your dreams through diligence and practice in a similar way, right? We can train to kind of remember our lives reincarnation. So I have like learned a lot about this, but I feel that that's not like the idea of reincarnation or returning. While it's kind of hidden in Christianity or some of our culture, it's not like front and center. I'm curious what kind of language or concepts you use to talk to people who may be unfamiliar about the ideas you're posing of this continuance of energy after death.
I guess I do a lot of it like through dreaming because that's more of a like tangible thing that people can relate to. That's not so scary. I kind of feel like all of these constructs are sort of limiting to us. I think kind of like the whole reincarnation and the light at the end of the tunnel, not necessarily to call it a trap, but it's a doorway right back to here. And I think that's super wonderful for some people. I'm actually kind of surprised sometimes because I'll ask people like, when you die, would you want to come back into like this earth life, this same existence? And a lot of people say yes, but I think that's because they don't have any frame of reference. They haven't experienced like what's beyond.
And because they're convinced they won't come back as that caterpillar that has the wasp lay its eggs inside of it.
Yeah.
Ugh.
They're like, no, it's going to work out for me, I promise.
Somebody's got to do it, though.
Yeah, but
Somebody does have to be the caterpillar.
I think that at like a certain level of maturity, we'll kind of want to discover the undiscovered country and see what is beyond. And I think part of that is developing, I think it's kind of like a straitjacket. If you struggle in it, it gets worse. So I think it's not to try to escape this like earth system or this, samsara or human life. I think it's to love this life unconditionally and be so present and so aware with it that when it's time for it to leave, like this, you can just, let it go and be sort of grateful for what you had.
What do you find that people are most, you talked about fear in your presentation. What is the thing people are most afraid of? Are they afraid, and when it comes to dying, are they afraid of the pain of the disease, or are they afraid of, uncertainty of what comes next? What's the source of this fear? Is there something I'm missing? Like, what do you find is the central sink, the source of that? Yeah.
I personally think that the fear is sort of the unknown. And I think that what we don't know is almost kind of like our shadow, like the unrevealed, the unobserved things, the things that aren't in our waking consciousness. And I think that's pretty much what the fear is. And I think that, I think it's going to be necessary for us to become a spacefaring civilization and be stars, and to I don't think we're mature enough as a species, really to handle immortality yet. If we still have to look to external things, if our locus of control is external instead of internal, I don't think that we're mature enough. I think we need, like individuation at species scale to be able to assign our own meaning and to reclaim like our power and our like sovereignty and authority and autonomy.
Do you find that most people make that transition away from fear at the end, or do a lot of people still pass away afraid?
I think it's very individual. I have seen people that have like just the most sort of beautiful, gentle like transitions, and then I've seen people that, it's there. You can tell that they're super, super scared. So,
Jesus.
I think it's kind of like when you die or when you have an out of body experience, is like you've played dizzy bat, like all your like frames of reference, all the constructs sort of fall away and you don't know how to navigate. And I think that's why it's important to like know thyself and sort of find your center, and then and practice for these things. And then you can sort of kind of steer what happens next.
Okay, so do you think that there's a difference in how people react to the impending end as a function of how good they think that they've been over the course of a lifetime?
Oh, yes. I think that the sort of good and evil and heaven and hell and all that stuff is played significantly into people's fear. That's why I think to do a life review and to die before you die, like now, to let all those constructs fall away and all the illusions just sort of fall away, and sort of see that it is kind of like it's a story that you can write. I think that's super important. When you have like the life review experience, and I don't think it always happens on the first time. Like Robert Monroe was like, you have to get out of body like 10 or 20 times before you're not scared and you can start to learn to navigate. I think that's kind of the way with the life review happens. It's sort of like flash before your eyes, like, oh, you're good, but it's actually just you kind of making a tally of like, what, did you do the lessons you want? How do you feel about like your existence here as a human? So I don't think there's, some judge and jury waiting for you at the pearly gates or anything.
But it does seem like there's some kind of, I think that there's Are there any belief systems in the world that don't have some sense of obligation to like be good? Isn't that kind of at the heart of like the most ancient mythologies?
I think it probably would depend on your interpretation. So when like the Arjuna and Vishnu and Krishna story, like the way I sort of interpret that is like when you have that God level view, then the good and evil, you recognize the necessity of both, and there's sort of means to an end. So it's not necessarily like, oh, you killed all these people. It's sort of, are the lessons complete? Is the experience complete? Have we fully, experienced the depth and breadth of the human experience? I think if you interpret it that way, then there probably are some that are not necessarily just good versus evil.
Abby, I love talking to you. I honestly want to do a full podcast with Abby. I would sit down for 3 hours about this.
That would be the very first paradigm.
That would be. I don't know.
Like
I don't know if other people are as interested in this as me, but
everybody's
I think this is super far out. I think about this kind of thing all the time, and
I've looked into becoming a death doula because this seems like I've never told you this. I'm like, this seems like such a necessary feature of life that nobody's really paying attention to. So that'd be really cool.
Yeah, this is really deep stuff. So yeah, let's talk a bit more online. Maybe we can meet up and think of a frame for this and everything.
Do you want to give the good doctor the last word?
Yeah, Michael, you got any closing words before we move it on? I'd talk about this all night, but we have a whole show to do.
I like that Michael is basically wearing a lab coat, but it's just a collared shirt.
Scientists in and out of the lab. I really like what you bring to the community by sharing these ideas with us. I think I'm with Shiloh. It's cool to hear you chat, and I think these are things that the physicists normally don't think about because death is scary, right? But it's the hard questions we should be asking. So I'm excited for what you share with us in the future too.
Thanks.
Fantastic. All right, Abby, we're gonna let you go, but we'll see you again.
Yeah, way to kick it off. Thank you, Abby. Let's talk offline. Give her a hand. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
Who do we got coming up now?
We got Miguel, but his camera's not.
Hello?
Okay.
Can you see me?
Yes, hold on.
Okay.
Hold on, you're getting ahead of us. All right, so we have Miguel Moreno-Torres with Fractal Maze Hypothesis. On deck, we have Amir Guri, a return to physical intuition. These are great theories. All right, got a minute on the clock. Ready.
Is it me? Okay.
Hit it.
Imagine that you are at the fork in the road. There are 2 doors. If you go through the first one, you receive 6 coins. If you choose the second, only 4. Obviously, you choose the option that gives you the best. But it turns out that behind these 2 doors, you have other 2, 4 in total, and behind them 8, and behind them 16, and so on. So now, watching all the possible rewards, what you do is that you choose your path through the branches to maximize your gain. But if there is an external observer that can see you taking your choice at only one of the forks, then what he sees that most of the time you choose the best option, but sometimes you don't. Well, my proposal is that a mechanism like this is behind the measurement problem in quantum mechanics.
Okay, all right. Come on, guys. Give me a hand. Give me a hand.
Welcome. Okay. So, the measurement problem in quantum mechanics. Welcome, Miguel. We're glad to have you. Where are you at right now?
In Canary Island.
Ooh,
Canary Islands.
very nice.
I wish I was in the Canary Islands.
I know. So
Are you from there?
Pretty late here. I'm from Spain.
Okay.
Normally, I live in Cádiz.
we had a Canarian on the show, Enrique.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, I only remember him as he called himself the Canarian that flew too high because he was studying cosmic radiation, and so he had these like airplanes that would go into the stratosphere. And allegedly,
Physics here.
yeah, that's what I've heard. That it's a very big source of some great physicists in the world right now. But so your theory is basically that the measurement problem in quantum mechanics comes down to the fact that the decider inside of the system is making choices, and they think that they are the best choices, but they are not always the best choices, and the observer outside of the system actually knows what the best choice is at any moment, and the tension between the internal subjective experience of best choice and the external estimation of best choice is what results in the measurement problem.
That's okay, except because there is nothing subjective about it. It is a remake of the least action principle, indeed. What's going on is that you have to accept that everything is discrete. So all the choices are discrete. So imagine that an electron, or if you are going to make a Stanger-like experiment, so there are two choices, but this electron, after the experiment and before the experiment, was somewhere and is going somewhere. So the options are slightly different, or they have a different action if they end up in let's say, an atom of silver that is going to be excited afterwards. So it depends if the choice is upward or downward. If you follow the particle not along the experiment, but all over its whole lifetime, then that action is what is optimized. But let's say if you consider all particles in the universe, is the action all over the universe what is optimized, not at the single experiment. So
Michael,
it's a block universe.
Are you following this, Michael?
I am a bit struggling to follow, but I was trying to.
I love that Michael will never say no.
Michael's the nicest guy ever.
I'm wondering if so you titled your presentation the surface area, or the fractal maze, right? And so whenever I think of fractals, I think of like a tension between surface area and volume, right? Infinite surface area, finite volume. I'm curious if you can tie this back into the fractal maze concept to maybe help us understand better.
Great question.
It's true. A true gentleman, Michael.
Fractal maze is because if you follow the choices all over and from a single event, then you will end up having a fractal from all the possible choices that the particle, or indeed two particles when you go to the full model, because you always will have two particles interacting. From that, you get a fractal, because all the choices are going to span all over a network. You have to see that everything is going to be in a network, which in principle is abstract, not in a space-time.
I like that.
You have to.
Oh, you've changed your mind. So what a transformation!
I mean,
Miguel, this is a great victory, Miguel. Shiloh just went from like I don't know about this to I like this.
No, I think that these decision networks are networks. I think that that's a really good way of thinking about any of these quantum experiments, is thinking about the network effects. I mean, everything from interference to God knows what, double slits and all this stuff, right? That's interesting. I mean, I honestly have no idea what you're going on about exactly, but I do like the network approach to quantum mechanics.
Okay, so one thing that I did catch from what you were saying is you made a distinction between the subject that was performing the decision versus the observer that was watching the decision get made?
I know. Okay. The decision is made by the particle. So it's a way to visualize it. So you got a particle, and the particle has the maze in front of it. So the particle is making the choices. The problem is that you, as an observer making the experiment, you only see one of the choices when there are many. Then when you see the random choice of the particle in the double slit experiment, and the particle end up on a point of your screen, single point, and you have a result, and you don't know why the particle chose that point, because you only see a part of the lifetime of the particle. But if you could check, of course, all the pieces of the lifetime of the particle, and you sum up the total action, you could get that the particle is choosing the least action path
That makes sense.
along a discrete path, so a discrete network.
I have a question. Do you have a theory for what constitutes the least action path? Like, is there some principle that decides? Shaz, like, we gotta move on. Is there some principle that what's that?
Does the observer play into the least action at all?
Okay, when you normally use least action, you find the least action path. You have the least action path along a continuous trajectory. So in a space-time. Then you have the identity theorem that for which you can be sure that if you know that the action is minimal in a piece of the function, is going to be minimal all over the whole function, so the whole trajectory. But if you know also that reality is discrete, ultimately discrete, then you cannot use the identity theorem. So you will have a leakage of action for every step. And that's what you see as randomness in quantum mechanics. Because you lack all these steps. You only have one, your experiment.
Do it.
Before and after, there are a lot of the steps you are losing.
I think you're smarter than me, man, is the problem. Do you have a website or somewhere you published all of this so people can go read the fine details?
Yes, well, I started a YouTube channel, which is
cool.
Echoes of the Fractal Maze. And also I have some papers and ResearchGate. And you can find them through my name.
Heck yeah.
All right, Miguel.
All right, Miguel, I guess we're going to keep it moving along. It sounds cool. I think it's intriguing. People should check it out. And
I want more physical mediators. Like,
Nazi wants a physical picture.
I want a physical picture. I think that you're right about this. And what I want is I want you to work on an actual physical basis for least action. Like, what is it about the moment of decision that induces the particle to choose a door? Because I don't think the particle is choosing. I think there's something about the network that don't answer me right now. Don't answer me right now. We have to go. We have to keep moving.
Miguel, I think that you're onto something, man. I don't know why I think that, but my intuition is that you're onto something. And yeah.
I really like the randomness as a leakage of this leading to the quantum states. I feel like there's way more to unpack here. Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, so we have, thank you so much, Miguel. Come back again. Hopefully we'll get a little bit deeper into the theory next time. Welcome, Matthew Fox, memes of discretion.
Discussion? Names of discussion?
Guys, what's going on? I think you guys are going to like this.
All right, memes of discussion.
Memes of discussion, give us the discussion.
All right, let's get into it. Yes, we've named it absolutely the spherical god cow. Why? We'll get into that. All right. So this was inspired by Professor Sean Carroll. He was doing one of those answer me anythings or whatever there. And he's going through, he's talking about the cosmological concept. He's like, well, it's similar to the Higgs stuff. So I'm like, I got curious. So of course I went down a Wolfram hole. So while doing that, I took the mass energy of the Higgs boson, turned it into a literal spherical cow by dividing it by 4/3 pi r cubed, where basically the r is the Higgs associated Compton wavelength. Gives you a really big energy density. So I'm like, I have an energy density. Let's divide it into the energy of the vacuum. We got our vacuum energy. We divide it by a cow. We end up getting a really small number, 1.1 times 10 to the minus 52, that coincidentally happens to correspond with the magnitude of the cosmological constant. That's 1.1 times 10 to the negative 52. And I'm like, that's interesting.
Ominous cow. I wish I had a cow sound of that. Guys, give me a hand. Come on. Hell yeah.
Amazing.
All right.
Close enough to the
Settle
cow
down.
sound. I love that in the past we have given Matt the instruction that he needs to give us like a better framework for the mathematics, and he comes back with the spherical cow.
I did not see this. Okay. Every once in a while, I think nature might optimize for a good story, because who doesn't love a good story? But I just look at this, I'm like, I didn't look into it, because even on like the Wikipedia page, there's been lots of inquiry into like inflatons and the Higgs boson and anyons and whatever the heck might be out there actually. And I just look at it, I'm like, okay, well, people have worked on this. And then I just get curious for my own curiosity. I'm like, all right, well, you got the Higgs. I'm like, how do you compare that to like the vacuum? That's an energy density. And that's like, well, wait a second. Every particle has an associated Compton wavelength. I'm like, let me just do the most naive thing and literally turn it into the spherical cow from The Biggest Ideas in the Universe, episode 1.
What does the Compton wavelength mean to you? What does the Compton wavelength mean to you?
It's basically the associated general particle-iness or size of a particle. And again, there's some oscillation in there and everything. But again, there's even another episode with Professor Carroll. He's like, yes, every particle, you're going to get the associated Compton wavelength. You take Planck's constant, you divide it by the mass times the speed of light, and it gives you... So it's a general particle-iness, or at least the size that we could start to talk about particle-like things, or what we may associate with what may or may not actually be particles.
Michael.
So I'm glad that you asked my question. What's a Compton wavelength in this case?
Yeah, that was mine too. I was like, excellent work.
Well, yeah, I was
the associated particle-iness size. And again, I'm not a quantum mechanic.
What does that mean, the associated particle-iness size?
Well, it's like almost like if there's a wavelength, there's a wavelength associated with each matter, right? So if each matter
Each matter? What the fuck is a matter?
Each instance of matter, right?
You got yourself an atom, nucleus, really freaking small. The electron, shell, orbital, whatever it may or may not be, tends to be most of the generalized size there. It's like about 10 to the minus 12 meters, which is still ridiculously small to us.
Yeah.
So
well, but I think it's like kind of like if there's an antenna associated with each particle-y thing, each chunk of matter, you can imagine.
Think about your little tendrils coming out of the atom there, and it's like, these are going to go about this far. These are going to go about this far. And then there's going to be other associated stuff going on.
Yeah.
So the other part that I was curious about is that you then like end up at the numbers similar to the cosmological constant.
It is a dimensionless version of that. Then again, you have to raise the question, well, is the cosmological constant constant? Is it just an observational effect? Because when you take the square root of the cosmological constant, you get about the inverse of the radius of the observable universe. So you're like, is this just an effect of what we are observing given our scale and current technology? So it's
So that's where
it's just an interesting thing. I'm like, I found like one string field theory paper from like 5 years ago that I think kind of touched upon a similar thing. But to my amazement, most of the papers out there are trying to like solve inflation and invent all these other things. And I'm like, what if we just did like the literal naive thing that you would think you would do for homework and just plug it in, and then you basically end up getting out basically, if you take Einstein's constant, so basically, Dr. Salvatore Pais at one point, he was talking about kind of like the Dirac, the large number hypothesis and stuff. He's like, if you have the Planck force and you set that as a constant, you could then determine actual radius, or if you had radius, you could determine the mass. I played around with those things for a while, but if you take this cow, this spherical god cow, or whatever the heck you want to call it, you multiply it by the Einstein C4, basically that kappa constant that Dr. Salvatore Pais is big on, and you coincidentally get about 1 inverse meter squared, which is basically the dimensionful units that the cosmological constant is expressed in. So basically you're getting its reference 1. Basically the Einstein constant, it's a force. This is an energy density, yada, yada, yada. The dimensional
let me
difference.
stop you for a second, man.
I imagine that, like, if I could have met Minkowski, like Einstein's mathematician, he would have been a lot like Matt.
I know. No, I mean, everybody needs a mathematician, honestly.
Like, everybody needs a
Like,
mathematician.
people talk about getting tax accountants and stuff. Like, I'd rather have a mathematician.
I'm not going to claim I know what the heck this means. I'm just like, this is an interesting thing.
Look,
I assume
in the chat,
have...
Sean Maurer has a good point. Isn't the observable universe just a kind of subjective readout of the state of our technology? It seems like the universe gets bigger every single generation of every generation of telescope. The universe gets older and bigger. What's up with that?
Well, I mean, that just seems to be his history. I mean, like, Hubble, oh my God, it's breaking cosmology. James Webb, it's breaking cosmology. I'm like, if you take a large enough sample size, I'm like, is this really down? I mean, Shiloh, I mean, you teach astronomy. That's how I came here and all. I was watching one of your lectures. I'm like, I haven't learned anything from astronomy in 20 years. What's changed? I'm like, oh, look, new technology. Stuff's breaking again. Oh, okay.
It's funny because I taught my last class for the semester yesterday, and I was talking to a student beforehand, and he was like, I had a really bad stomach ache. I was like unsure whether I'd be able to make it to philosophy class today. And I was like, oh, yeah, that is what this is, I suppose. Yeah.
That's awesome, dude. That's a great compliment, because it's ultimately, if you want to be a scientist, I don't care what type of doctor you want to become, aside from maybe an MD, but I'm just like, isn't it a philosopher of X?
I mean, they give you a PhD. That's all I'm saying. You gotta learn how to think. And, anyways, I'm not gonna go off on my soapbox with that. Go ahead, Nathan,
I have questions.
Please.
I have questions. What you have given us, this Higgs mass energy, 4/3 pi r cubed, is a volume equation, right?
Yes.
So what is the volume that we are describing? Like, so are you basically saying that there's a kind of volume that is traced out by the Compton wavelength because the radius is like one single pulse of the thing?
So when you get an energy density, it's okay. If we believe the Higgs, or something like the Higgs, is the one elementary scalar field that suffuses our realm, it's everywhere. I'm like, okay, well, if it's going to associate mass, and mass is basically the particle you create when you jiggle the field, so to speak. I'm like, all right, well, we got a mass, so we're taking this mass energy, and it's like, okay, well, let's divide that by the associated size of what we could consider particle-iness, taking its Compton wavelength, whatever that may or may not be, 4/3 pi r cubed. Now we've got a mass energy. We're dividing it by its associated particle-iness size, and that's just going to be what it is if you believe it actually suffuses everything, and it seems to come out to be reference dimensions of inverse meters squared when you multiply it by Einstein's kappa constant there. Before, people would say, well, that would mean like the meter itself is meaningful, and I would sigh and then get very disappointed. At this point, I'm just like, yes.
So I actually really enjoy all these stories that you share with us, where you perform, like, you see these hidden patterns kind of in the physics of the world around us. And I mean, it reminds me of kind of like people looking at primes and finding like interesting patterns. But what it struck me about your line of research is it reminds me of this paper that Sabine Hassenfeller was talking about recently, where a paper came out about what are the base measurements of the universe, like an IUPAC, right, our international way of measuring things. And so there used to be like
time is the best thing there is. Apparently, we're getting
Right, so
ready to
time-
redefine SI in 2030. Dugan from the Wolfram Institute, he brought that to my attention. Basically, everything in 2030, we're going to go by time. Why?
Right.
Well,
So time
you want
is
to go
the
by
only-
what you have the best accuracy in. We got really good clocks.
Right. And time is the one unit that she can build, that this paper that she talks about can build every other unit from, right? So she discussed a way of which you can actually get the measurement for a meter from time, right? So at the base, what a meter represents is like a fraction of Earth's orbit around the sun, right? And so our one ruler is oddly kind of like all about this in a sense. I'm wondering if that's what we're kind of looking at, right?
Rods and clocks. It's almost like love in the marriage there, because it's like we seem to be able to trade that off. That's an interesting thing. And if you think about a clock, tick tock, you're using a length right there. So, and it just, even when you're going through history and everything, it's like, well, we use these clocks to measure distance and time because we could use a wavelength there. And that seems to be a fascinating thing that we're able to get away with that.
I think that we're basically at the point that we have to come to the physics monastery.
Okay.
Because I think that
Matt is a monk, by the way, if someone is just tuning into this show
not
for
just
the
a
first
monk,
time.
but a physics monk.
Yeah, a physics monk, obviously.
Are you monk in other ways or just physics?
Are you only ordained in
I
physics?
mean, I'm just physics monk enough that I have an equation on a t-shirt. So
Is it the same equation that you always wear on your t-shirt?
no, that's usually Thad's equation that was dimension. We have the new ones. The new ones are dimensionally correct. This is the one that I showed at Portugal for the claimed closed form of the Higgs mass. So,
Dude, I regret not being able to hang out with you more. I was so freaking sick when I was in Portugal, man.
disclosure,
I feel so
Shiloh and I
bad. You
were
guys
both
pulled off an
pooping our brains
amazing
out.
show. I'm
We
like, I did not
barely
realize how
pulled it
dog
off,
you were.
bro. We were so sick. Oh my god. We're gonna try again soon.
If a restaurant serves you room temperature seafood, shellfish, do not eat the room temperature
Don't
shellfish.
do it. What are you doing?
Say
When
no.
your husband
Even if a really interesting Russian couple is sitting next to you, chatting you up about everything that's interesting in the world.
and when your husband is like, hey, should this seafood be room temperature? Do not ignore him.
God. Oh my God, Matt. All right, man. I think we should move it along, Matt. I love you, man. You are.
I think that
you
this
are
is
an
deeply
important part of the world.
profound. I think it's deeply profound. I don't understand it yet.
Yeah.
But I think that
But
we
more
will-
cows.
more cows. I think that we will get there.
Maybe we could do like a.
I'm just
could we do
hoping
a-
other people can help me with this. I don't know what's going on. So, thank you guys. It's always a pleasure.
Sorry, that was my spherical goat. All right, Matt. Take care, man. We'll see you
peace
next
out,
time.
guys. Yeah.
Who we got? Let's get somebody else in here.
All right, we have Amir. I'm gonna try Amir, and if Amir doesn't work, then we have Kian. Kian. I should know how to say his name by this point. All right, let's try Amir. All right, Kian, welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, so remind me for the last time. Is the accent on Kian or Kian?
You mostly got it. It's like you put the key on the table. Kian.
Kian.
Guys, let's give him a round of applause. Welcome to Paradigm Shift number 8. It's okay that we haven't quite figured this out because it's only the 8th episode. All right. Anyways. All right, Cam, we got a minute on the clock.
All right, hit it.
Go.
All right. So I've got a theoretical framework for free will, and here's my 1-minute spiel. So many people struggle to reconcile the idea that free will is an illusion because we feel like we have free will. And Sam Harris argues that there can be no free will since we don't choose our own desires in the first place. But what if free will isn't about creating desires, but about choosing which ones to act on? I define free will as the ability to resist the default action, regardless of whether it's dictated by something internal or external. And the key to this framework is our attention. We have a built-in mechanism that allows us to focus on specific influences while inhibiting others. But this isn't easy. Attention isn't free. It has an energetic cost, and evolution favors energy conservation. So resisting the default feels like effort. Free will is a limited resource, and using it means fighting an uphill battle against our programming. In a world overflowing with free junk food, but healthy food is scarce and expensive, you can choose to be healthy, but it takes constant effort and deliberate choices to resist the easy, unhealthy default. Free will in this view is about using our attention to shape our minds in action, especially when the choice is hard won.
Absolutely. All right.
So it's basically like if you can do hard things, you have free will.
Yeah, if the decision that would be made without attention is not the decision that you're making, then you have free will. It's like as if, imagine there is a default action. Like you have neurons and they will have certain connections and things will fire as they fire. And imagine that as the information goes through a certain path, you end up making a certain decision. But because you have your attention, you don't have to act on that decision. You can roll the dice again. You can force yourself to choose a different path. You have a mechanism in your mind to be able to prevent yourself from choosing certain actions, even though they would be the default action if you had no supervision.
Michael.
I'm kind of curious about what you just left off on with, you just talked about a mechanism in your mind. Do you think much or have much for us on your thoughts of like what that mechanism is or how it plays?
Yeah, the mechanism is attention. So,
Okay.
So it's like we can go pretty deep here if you want.
Let's go deep. Let's go super deep, please.
The sound
Let's
of a
go.
dive.
Wait, I've got a sound effect for that. Hold on 1 second.
Like
1 second. Oh, here it is. Sorry, I'm so sorry.
Right.
I just waited all night for that. All right, I'm done. Go ahead.
Thanks, Alan.
Let's go deep.
Okay, so every moment as time passes, as you experience reality, you are constantly predicting the next moment that is about to happen. So about half a second into the future. So your brain is an incredible prediction machine that's always trying to predict the immediate future. Again, about half a second. And that prediction, it ends up meeting up with reality, right? And so you have sensors that are bringing information in, and you have a prediction that's sending information, that's trying to figure out what is about to happen in about half a second. And so you have your prediction meeting reality, which ends up creating a surprise signal, right? So if anything doesn't meet your expectations, that thing is surprising. And so that surprise signal is what you bring your attention to. It is a specific compass that points you exactly to what you should be attending to. Like, for instance, Michael, if there was a loud noise behind you, you don't expect that. But like, if that happens, your attention immediately snaps to that thing that you didn't expect. And therefore, this is how you continuously impose your free will on your reality, is that you have this mechanism that constantly has this expectation. And if that expectation is somehow not met, you're going to bring your attention and then make that reality that you expect happen.
So would the position of free will be to ignore the loud noise behind him?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
That would be also an expectation. Like if you knew there was going to be a loud noise, if I said, "Hey, Michael, there's a loud noise about to happen behind you," like you would use your free will to not turn around.
I actually think that's brilliant, because if you think about, do you have a very loud noise
I
to
was
going
to look for one. Yeah, we could just do goats again.
I'm very hoping not as loud as I get. We can away with that.
Yeah, the shootout is a very loud.
Oh yeah, the shootout.
He's got a really loud shootout.
I'll do it when you least expect it.
So I think that's actually brilliant, and I think that in some ways this ties into meditative practice.
All right, there we go.
Because, like, what is meditative practice if not the ability to train non-reactivity?
And on top of that, from my weird spiritual band, a lot of people tend to equate masters or enlightenment as kind of overcoming that reaction, right? To be unsurprised and to be level, not to be unfeeling, to be unreactive in a sense. Because then you don't let
Can I
your lower
comment on what
animal centers go.
Anastasia said? So Anastasia, you hit the nail on the head. And it actually points to like when the neuron was first discovered by Ramon y Cajal, like one thing he identified, which is super interesting, is that humans, unlike all other organisms, have the largest ratio of inhibitory neurons to excitatory neurons. It's as if our ability to inhibit, and similar to how meditation helps strengthen your ability to inhibit, like that is precisely what gives us this control. And I think it's also partly why humans are like the top species of the planet, able to control so much. It's because we have this ability to inhibit things. It's not
Attention, specifically.
using attention to inhibit.
Because it is so true. Like, if you look at your cat or something, like,
She's 100% reactive.
She's 100% reactive. That's right. That's exactly right. And yeah, there is something really human about being able to tune out shit, right? Like, I remember I was in a fraternity in college, and people would be having raging parties sometimes, and I'd just be sitting there on the internet, reading about, I'd be like reading Wikipedia or something, and I just remember like my friends being like, dude, how do you do that? And I'm just like, I don't know, it's just not that hard. Like, I just feel like we're really like, it's just pretty easy to tune stuff out, which is insane. Because if a cat was there, the cat would just be completely buckled under the weight of the thumping bass or something, right?
It's true.
That's so interesting. That's a really good point, man. I love it.
True.
Hell yeah.
So I really enjoy this because it implies that free will is a muscle that can be trained. Like, it implies, right? Like, it implies that it is not something that is a given, because there are people that are driven exclusively by their reptile brain reflexes.
And it's also something you can run out of throughout the day. Like, as you get more tired, you've depleted your neurotransmitters. Like, your brain isn't as clean as it was before when you woke up. Like, it will be harder and harder to monitor. And then you cannot exert as much free will when you're tired, when you're hungry, like when you're not running optimally.
Is that a metabolic thing, do you think?
I would
Like,
say
literally power?
Like, literally when you sleep, your glial cells in your brain are cleaning up like the space between your neurons, right? And so I think absolutely there's some metabolic cost or metabolic property that helps determine that.
I mean, I've always found it to be the most annoying part of being alive is that you have to sleep. Like, I just feel like I'd get so much more done if I didn't have to sleep. I mean, I love sleeping, don't get me wrong. And it's nice. I'm not criticizing God here. Chill out, everybody. Relax. I'm just saying that, man, it'd be such a more... I would live twice as much if I didn't have to sleep.
But what if you would live without free will? Like, that might not be good anymore, Charlotte.
That would be really bad, actually. Yeah.
I think that the next time that you make a free will presentation, you need to have 2 doors behind you, because one door is too deterministic.
I'll knock down another big hole in my wall.
It would be really funny if like one door was real, but the other door was just like a shitty butcher paper drawing of a door.
Who's on deck, by the way, before we forget?
deck.
Let's get somebody on deck.
Stephen Kaiser is on deck.
Stephen Kaiser. Let's throw that.
Yeah, I have tried to ping him. Hopefully he's there.
He's not there. All right, who's on deck after him?
okay.
Let's get somebody else in
Alright.
case he's a slacker.
All right, hold on one second.
Keon, where are you at, dude? Remind me.
At Toronto, right?
You're Canadian.
I'm in Canada, but I'm in a town called Edmonton. It's the northernmost.
Alberta.
Oh shit, that's really far north, right? That's like
wow.
oil fields and stuff.
Yeah, that's right. We're in
Okay.
Alberta, so
Did you grow up there?
Mostly, yeah.
Interesting. What brought your family up to Edmonton?
My parents both are geologists, and so like there's a lot more geology jobs here.
Oil industry.
Have you spoken to them about expanding Earth?
Okay.
Open that can of worms.
Yeah, let's not embarrass his parents.
All right, let's leave Keon's parents alone. All right, Keon, thank you so much. Yeah, all right. Look, we're going to try to get Stephen Kaiser on. If we don't have Stephen Kaiser, we have Red Tail Hawk.
Keon, it's always good to see you, man.
Keon,
Thanks for
amazing.
coming by, dude.
Thank you so much.
Let's keep it going. How are you guys? Are you guys having fun? What's going on?
We need to let Michael talk more.
Yeah.
You look, people have been doing great tonight. This has been awesome. Yeah.
This is the best one yet.
Guys, how do we welcome people to Paradigm Drift number 8? We give them a round of applause! Come on! Alright, there it is.
I don't know what I would do with that.
Plus, Steven has the coolest hat we've seen tonight. Alright. Ready? I mean, same old hat. Alright, let's do it.
Ready when you are.
Hit it.
Okay. What causes gravity? What causes a universe to come into existence in the first place? Edge theory is an entirely new branch of mathematics that does not use many equations. I call it Euclidean topology. And it appears to model the structures, motions, and theologies of a universe very similar to our own. This mathematics describes the transformation of a Mobius strip where you increase the surface area to infinitely large while shrinking the edge to infinitely small and zero, both at the same time. The transformation requires 3 additional rules to create a universe. These 4 rules together transform the Mobius strip into a topology called the pre-photon. The pre-photon then continues to transform into the 4 basic matter particles in a unified field of effects that appears to mirror our universe in very exact ways. And it describes the edge theory universe as a living being with a heartbeat that occurs at pi, the golden ratio, accurate to 3 decimal places.
All right. Interesting. You seem... Hold it, guys, come on. What's going on? Guys, give him a hand. Good Lord. Where are your manners, guys? He obviously finished his presentation.
He did.
You guys should be clapping by now.
Let's give Michael the floor.
Yeah, Michael, you could just run the show from now on, actually.
That's my pleasure. Thank you, Steven. I think that was very cool. So I didn't realize that we were going to the pre-photon. So you're arguing that this pre-photon turns into the particles that we see. I'm curious how the dimensions that you talk about with your Mobius strip then allow this to happen, right?
How the dimensions allow it to happen?
I was trying to pay attention, but the surface area of a Mobius strip surface is very large, right? But the edge is very small. That you described.
Well, if you take a Mobius strip and unstretch it into a piece of paper, you could calculate the surface area. Just it has a length and width. And you could also calculate the length of the edge. And so the transformation is to step by step, let's say your surface area is 32 square inches. You just make another piece of paper. Step by step, you increase the surface area to infinity while simultaneously shrinking the length of the edge to 0 and infinitely small. And so the idea is to develop a series of models. And then you get to a point where you can't physically make them anymore. So you have a series of drawings that step by step go through that process. And simultaneously, you have to apply 3 additional rules to the transformation. And when you do that, or when I do it, it appears to me to generate a model of a universe that's virtually identical to our own, with the exception that the universe is minor exception appears to be a living being that literally has a heartbeat that has a high and low pressure pulse that occur at the golden ratio to 3 decimal places.
Oh my God, you discovered God, I think.
Well, that's, I don't know what else to say. And I am actually ready to submit the paper for peer review. And it's pure mathematics. There's no theory. It's not an inference. It's a mathematical result.
Oh, hold on 1 second. 2 different people at the exact same moment said that you had just discovered God, but I completely did not hear what triggered both of them to say that. Why did you say that?
Because the universal equation has a conscious element to it.
It's got a heartbeat at the golden ratio, right? Or how does this heartbeat fall out? What is it's math, right? So I sometimes have a struggle to translate the abstraction of math into something more like physical, because I'm a chemist, so I'm very physical. Yep. So I'm curious what this heartbeat shows up as and represents to you.
Well, in the photon, the the part of what I call the mean brain is the material of this transformation. There's a point at west and another point at east, and during the transformation, they begin to rotate. And you can think of them as rotation pulses that occur at different ratios or different pressures. Pressure is actually the correct word. So there's a high and low pressure pulse within the transformation. The ratio between the high and low pressure pulse is the golden ratio to 3 decimal places. Not like it peters out at 3 decimal places.
I'm very sold.
So
My opinion of everything is
Right?
that
Sorry, didn't hear that?
physical pressure, there's magnetic pressure. It's the only thing that does anything around here. So
I love that the chemists are the most physical of all of the scientists. That's freaking hilarious. Steven, I love you, dude. This is awesome. Looking at your presentation is amazing. God damn.
Well,
Dude,
yeah.
let me see if this works. This may come apart.
I was
This
gonna
is amazing. Nobody else has even come close to
Wow,
this.
that's what
Oh my god!
Within edge theory, all of the particles, the electron neutrino, the proton, and the neutron, all have an actual physical structure.
Did
It's
you
a
make these?
topology-
Yeah, sorry.
It's a topology that you can understand, and it's in motion, and it produces charge spin and half integer spin naturally, and it actually has a physical reality. Like charge and spin 1/2 has a physical reality.
Absolutely. Like, Steven, can you...
Go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go.
Dude, let's at least bring him back to do it. Let's bring him back next
Yeah, I
time
think you
for
should
sure.
I think you should do another minute. So let's do it for January paradigm drift. Come back and do another minute.
Yeah, we need to unpack this a bit deeper.
How closely related is this to like knot theory?
Knot theory?
Yeah, like KNOT. Like I have this why are you laughing at
Just
me?
it sounds like a pun, like knot theory. Like what? What are you talking about?
I
Yeah.
haven't heard of knot theory. So
Okay, so like knot theory is the physical theory of knots in space, and I have a feeling that any functional ethers theory, like the theories that Shiloh and I are working on, included
Not ether theories.
Not-
but not ether.
not are deeply informed by knot theory, which basically just says like what kind of topological folds are available to a certain system.
Well, I am a knot nut. Ever since I've been a kid, I have practiced knots, studied knots. I know how to tie knots. And
Are you a rock climber?
I was.
I knew it. I absolutely knew it.
I had
Is
a
it the
fall,
hat?
Just look at this guy. Yeah.
What kind of what happened? What kind of fall was it?
Well, I don't want to encourage people to do bad things, but I did a bad thing and I got really scared, so I don't climb anymore. So I did a free climb without ropes, and I shouldn't have. And
What did you free climb?
believe it or not, this is going to sound really weird. It was the cliffs directly behind the Parliament buildings in Ottawa, Canada.
The
You
Parliament
go to the
buildings.
Parliament buildings and you go behind them back towards the river, back to the parking lot. I don't think you can go there anymore. Like when I was a kid, it was, you could walk right into Parliament while they were in session. But there was a very sheer cliff there, about 300 feet, and a friend and I climbed up from the bottom, and I got about 20 feet from the top, and I slipped about 12 feet down before I caught myself.
That's insane. Did something happen? Did a hold break or something? Or
The guy in front of me hit a rock, came down and hit me on the head. So
I've had that happen. That's terrifying.
Yeah, so-
My God, that's crazy.
yeah, maybe you could edit that out because I don't want to encourage people to do that.
Well, no, I think you just discouraged
Yeah.
people from doing that, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, not everybody's Alex Honnold. Free soloing's freaking dangerous, man. If you actually read the list of people every year who die free soloing, it's pretty grim, honestly.
Shiloh always is discouraging me from my free solo adventures.
There's a lot of stuff out of your control. Like, I think that we would all have a very different perspective on free solo if Alex Honnold had broke a hold at some point on the LCAP solo.
Perhaps Keon can fold breaking rocks into his theory of free will the next time he comes.
All right, I guess we should move it along, man. Yeah, go ahead.
What part do you want me to present next time? Like,
I just think we need to get deeper, man.
This spontaneously generates the four particles.
Yeah.
It shows how they're built, how it works. It's gravity, magnetism. It produces spin 1/2 motion. It produces everything. So
Okay,
it
well,
adheres to
basically,
anyways.
it seems like what you're saying is that form, like function follows form. That there's either some shape or some path that
Mhm.
either like matter or the ether follows. He's got another one.
Yeah,
Oh no,
no,
it's
I'm
the
just
same
going
one.
back to this. This actually is, let's see if I get back here. It says there under, if I can get closer, it says a pre-ideal form under the pre-photon.
Yeah, like I
This
want to
is a
understand why
torus.
it's this offset torus. I don't totally It's like a Mobius torus.
Yeah, yeah, it's a one-sided, it's like a Mobius strip. The reason why it's the pre-photon is that it embodies all four of the rules in the lowest energy way. So the four rules of the transformation, this particular topology is the optimal way. And in edge theory, okay, and I'm not saying, as far as I understand edge theory, I may be making a mistake, or edge theory may not be a model of the universe for all I know. But within edge theory, the pre-photon is the ideal form. It turns into every other thing within the edge theory universe. So it turns into the particles, the electron neutrino, the neutron, and the proton. And it turns into the morphogenic field for an individual morphogenic field. So a human, a planet, or anything else that has a magnetic field in edge theory has the morphogenic field. And it also turns into the ether, the actual infinitely large ether, and it's virtually identical to the elastic ether that Chantal described. The particles go together in a way that is virtually identical to the structured atom model. There's one major difference in that the neutron in edge theory kind of has two electronic things and one protonic thing rather than an electron and proton. And I think there would be a way to quantitatively choose between the two theories. Like you could take the two and say,
Sounds like a
okay,
challenge. I love it.
well, I mean, it's not so much a challenge as it is just how
It's
do we
okay.
decide? Like, is there a
It's
way to
okay.
decide, right?
It's okay.
We love to fight. It's all right, Stephen.
Yeah.
Steven,
So,
oh,
anyways,
good.
But like,
I think it's
give
really
give
fascinating.
give the good doctor
Yeah,
the
let's
closing.
ask the guy in the lab coat. What's going on?
I'm really curious to hear more, right? I think that was a wonderful presentation. I think that you have a really interesting idea that's hitting home at like a lot of things we're curious about right now. So I'm looking forward to hearing more in the future.
Great.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Alright.
I love you, dude.
that is the strongest endorsement.
No, look at him.
Shadow
Look at
has
this.
ever
This is
given
amazing.
anyone on
No
the
one has ever showed up here like this. This is insane.
True.
This guy's so put together. I love it. I don't totally understand this, but I want to learn more about
Alright,
it. And
Steven.
that's the name of the game.
All right, Stephen, you're gonna come back next week. No, next month as one of our regulars.
All right, guys, give him a hand. Come on, let's give him a hand.
Thank you so much.
Come on, guys, come on.
We'll see you next time, man. Have a good month. Thank you.
Are you having fun, Michael? Sorry, dude. You were just trying to talk without this.
I was gonna text you, but I'm like, feel free to butt in whenever, Michael. Like, you do not have to wait for us to be like, Michael, what do you think?
Thanks for the invitation. I'll raise my hand a little bit.
No, don't. Just say things.
I'll let you guys out.
You gotta just butt in, my friend.
Yeah.
You got all the authority, man. You're the only legitimate scientist in the
You're the
room.
only one wearing a lab coat.
I like to wield that like a bludgeon, right?
Yeah. Red Tail has presented
Tail's returned.
previously on basically the ancient Egypt, Kabbalah mysticism, and today we have the physics of spiritual fire. But hold on, before we do that, I pulled another name out of the hat. Oh, Michael Wagner. The composition of dark matter and dark energy is after this.
Guys, come on, give welcome Redtail to the show. What's wrong with you guys? Oh my god, you guys are so rude sometimes.
Redtail has finally settled all the drama in our Discord server, so he is here with a clean conscience and ready to go.
Looks like he's getting some sun too. All right, Red, hit us.
Why is the baptism of the Holy Spirit said to be fiery? Why does pyramid break into word roots that mean fire and middle? Why are jinn associated with smokeless fire? Why are dragons said to have fiery breath? Why is the phoenix depicted a flame rising from its own ashes? And why is the Sacred Heart of Christ depicted a flame? Because they're all veiled expressions of a sensory experience heavily associated with Kundalini awakenings. When dormant chakras are activated, Kundalini Shakti, the serpentine component of the spirit body's anatomy, associated with the divine feminine, which is normally coiled around the root chakra, rises up through what may be analogized as the spine of the spirit body to the height of the highest chakra being activated. Like the rest of the spirit body, the serpentine component of the spirit body's anatomy is theorized to be magnetic in nature. As this magnetic field moves upwards in close proximity with the spinal cord, it should be expected to induce electrical activity in the spinal cord, which distributes throughout the entire body. In Kundalini awakening testimonials, this sensation is often reported as internal fire, electric fire being struck by lightning, or intense pins and needles throughout the body.
Okay, I thought your sweater said bitch across the front, but it says Bitcoin, but I don't know which is worse.
Oh, come on.
This is a new social media thing called BitChat, and people like to parse the two words in the wrong way.
You know what, man? I just figured out that Bitcoin isn't supposed to be a medium of exchange like last week.
Yeah.
I'm glad I figured that out. So I thank you for putting us in contact with your friend Brandon. That was interesting.
Awesome guy. That's good.
Yeah, he actually was the first person to make Bitcoin make sense to me, and I've had several Bitcoin bro friends who've tried.
It's true. That's true. All of them have lost their entire life savings.
They have all lost their entire life savings. But so maybe that's why it didn't make sense. Michael, what's up? What do you think, man?
Dude, this concept of the physics of spiritual fire is really curious because you start off with all of these symbols that we have throughout the stories of our past, right? And so I'm curious what you think stories are trying to point to, or why they're invoking this fire symbol, right? What are they trying to tell us with this?
I mean, it's an intense experience to have pins and needles throughout your entire body. I mean, people have sat on their foot before and the foot falls asleep, and then you get that localized version of that sensory experience. For it to be distributed throughout the entire body is something a person would take note of. And when we experience extraordinary things, it seems to me that the human modus operandi is to go share that with others so that at the very least, everyone else is aware, like, hey, this is a thing that can happen. I think this also occurs in, like, we were talking about reincarnation earlier with Abby's presentation. My understanding is that self-awareness is the prerequisite that's necessary to be reincarnated into a human or a human equivalent life form. And so there are examples of this with, like, puppies who are said to imprint during training. I think that imprinting is the achievement of self-awareness, and they're experiencing a lesser variation of Kundalini awakening with the solar plexus chakra being activated. And that intense sensory experience is associated with the trainer. And that's why they puppy dog the trainer around from then on, whoever that happens to be.
There's a couple of things that you like you mentioned it's like the solar plexus chakra, but earlier you're talking about the feeling, the actual experience of a Kundalini awakening that people share, and it's this pins and needles, right? But you also shared that it's this fiery feeling going, I believe, up your body. Is that correct? Or
it's induced by the motion of the divine feminine, which is a serpentine element of the spirit body that's normally coiled around the root chakra. That's what Kundalini means. It means coiled. It moves up what is called Sushumna, which is like the central spine. It's like the primary pathway that spirit energy can flow through. it's not normally used, and it's only used during Kundalini awakenings. So that's what's moving upwards. If you have a magnetic field moving along a copper wire, you're going to induce electrical current in that copper wire. But if you are dealing with, I guess, neural cells or nerves or whatever in the central nervous system, it's also going to polarize and cause electrical activity to fire off. And that's happening in the central manifold of the central nervous system. So that distributes to the entire body. And that's why the sensations are felt throughout the whole body.
So what's so curious to me is that you describe this as taking place in like the root chakra, or the like parts of our physiology that are associated, part of like the divine feminine, as you say, but also like our reproductive organs, right? Is there something about the body of why that energy comes from the root chakra, or like in our organization or physicality?
The root chakra, my best answer is that that's the receptive end. The aura is toroidal, and it emanates, out of the crown and forms like a torus shape, and then it re-enters in the feet and at the root chakra. I'm not really sure about why, for example, reproductive organs are located in the same area as the root chakra. Frankly, my understanding is that reproductive organs are more connected to the sacral chakra than to the root chakra. But yeah, I'm not sure. I'm just kind of reporting on what I've found to be commonly reported in Kundalini testimonials. And
I got a question.
Explanation for why it's happening. Yeah.
Not why. Should we all seek a Kundalini awakening experience? Is that something that every human should go through? Is that an important...
For the record, we have a friend who's convinced that it's basically demonic possession.
Who's that?
Gus.
Really?
Yeah.
All right.
To Michael Shiloh, your question, it is essentially the end goal, like in terms of escaping samsara and moving on to sort of the next strata, partition, density, dimension of the universe.
Is that in the Buddhist tradition?
It's Kundalini awakening is at its full level enlightenment, because you've got all 7 chakras putting forth 7 colors of the rainbow, and so that's why you get the Tibetan rainbow body. It all blends back together into the white light body. The next density is essentially a density of light. That's why there's the tunnel with the light at the end of it. That's why angels are said to be beings of light. That's why so many lowercase g gods and goddesses are depicted with associations with light. That's why UFOs and UAPs that aren't the secret government crafts or whatever, the ones that are interdimensional beings, they always have light and physics anomalies associated with them. If you were a being of light, you would be able to manipulate light.
So my question, I guess, is our goal to transcend this state of generative vegetative existence in some sense? I mean, it seems, I sort of read into that in the Buddhist tradition, like this idea that if you kind of nail it in this life, you don't have to come back and do it again.
That's basically it, although there's also the bodhisattvas who choose to post up in this place and continuously reincarnate here in order to serve as kind of like a sweeper, to use soccer parlance. Like, they're going to not leave this place until they've ushered everyone else through to the other side.
Interesting. Michael?
I really like the you talk about this physics of spiritual fire. It seems like you're drawing it. It's so are you invoking it as like this mechanism that we have to awaken ourselves, kind of to this goal that Shiloh is talking about, or this goal that you're talking about of becoming like a bodhisattva or something like that?
It's I think it's good to have good models for experiences that are commonly reported by people. I think that there's a way to explain this. This is the one that makes the most sense to me. And I guess, if you don't mind, I'd like to address briefly the demonic possession thing, because that actually ties into the Islamic term jinn, which was Egyptian before it was Islamic. In the Quran, jinn is spelled Jinn, but prior to that, it was DJINN, which might seem pedantic, but the DJ symbol in the hieroglyphs is associated with the divine feminine. It's associated with goddesses. The asp in the Rosetta Stone itself is decoded that way. So when you have words that are Egyptian that have the DJ in them, like Jehuti or Jinn or the Magi is originally the Medjai, Meddjay, or Jedi was originally DJEDI. There's all these words that have DJ in them. They all have ties to, activated wisdom chakras and genius.
Very cool.
And also the feminine?
And also DJs.
And also demons?
DJs.
No, DJ. Stop it.
I'm sorry. Hold on. Before you answer that question, is Charles Pajitsky here? Because you're on deck, technically, after Michael. I'm just trying to figure out if we need another person. I'm sorry.
Sorry, we have a show to run.
We do have a show to run.
This is fascinating, though, for sure.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So continue about the DJ and the feminine and the sound and the...
Why are the women associated with snakes, though? That's freaking me out.
So
Shiloh's very worried about this.
if we look at the characteristics of the divine, they can be broken down into two primary categories. Some are penetrative and some are receptive. So wisdom penetrates foolishness, power penetrates resistance, victory penetrates thresholds, understanding necessitates receptivity of information first before you can actually understand it. Mercy requires accepting what has already transpired. Glory is taken in. So certain divine traits are necessarily masculine by definition, and certain traits are feminine by definition. Polarity is, as above, so below, a part of everything. And so the masculine, the divine masculine in the Hindu tradition is said to be resident in the crown chakra, and the divine feminine is said to reside coiled around the root chakra. And the goal is the alchemical union, as Jung kind of called it, reuniting the divine feminine up through the chakras to the crown with the divine masculine. That's Ta and Ba, that's Alpha and Omega, that's, all of the, Chi and Rho. There are many, many depictions of the divine masculine and the divine feminine throughout many traditions. And the offspring of that union is the divine child, the child of God, the enlightened being who will move on away from samsara to the next density after death.
Whoa.
Yeah, I think that this follows a lot of the spiritual learnings that I've come across as well. The stuff that the school that I pay attention to is often a more Western than Eastern stuff, but it is curious. The stories that I've heard is that upon incarnating, women are typically better mediums or psychics because, in a sense, their physical body is female, but then their energy body left over is male, and so it's penetrative in a sense, right? As the earth is the embodiment or the root of, or the mother is where children come from, but it's the father in a sense, or the son that also sends a signal to work with that. What is interesting about what I've heard is that a lot of times some people and psychics tend to say that their psychic energy is tied to sexual energy. And so I think that this is interesting for the root chakra and also, where the Kundalini awakening comes from. I'll send some stuff to you if it's interesting, but I think that all the stuff that you've been saying adds up a lot of what I've heard as well. And I kind of like these physics or mechanisms of spirituality because I feel it's kind of like a protocol, right? It gives you something tangible to hold on to as opposed to more an abstract theory. So that's kind of why I like those bends of this topic.
Thank you. Rad, it's always good to see you, man. I think we should keep it moving.
Thank you.
You're just an absolute treasure trove of this esoteric knowledge, though. Yeah, let's keep the discussion going.
I have many thoughts.
Yeah.
We'll see you next time, Red.
Thank you.
Who's up next?
We have...
Guys, give him a hand, by the way. What is wrong with you?
Give him a hand.
Come on.
All right. We have Michael Wagner up next. And then, okay, look, we have Charles Pajitsky, but I can't figure out if Charles Pajitsky is here or not. So Charles, if you are here, if you are Charlie, and you are here, tell us. And if Charlie is not a real person, Then after Charlie, we have Jack Coleman with intelligent evolution. Charles promises a theory of the end of elite overproduction. But for right now, we have Michael Wagner.
Can you hear me?
Welcome, Michael. We can hear you.
Oh, good to see you again, Michael. All right.
I see you again. All right.
All right.
Let's put a minute on the clock.
All right, you're gonna give us a theory about the composition of dark matter and dark energy.
All right. I intend to explain how black holes are instrumental in the creation of dark matter and dark energy. What exactly causes these two categories of particles to be distinct from each other, with that same distinction carrying over to non-dark particles? What is it about the makeup of these dark particles which causes them to not interact with non-dark particles, and why light is able to travel faster than any other observable particle, and how that connects to the nature of both dark matter and dark energy?
Whoa, lightning fast. What's the timing on that?
30 seconds.
This is a short... Guys, let's give him a hand for the fastest theory that I've ever seen on this show. Hey, there it is.
Amazing.
All right, that was truly fast.
That was an excellent tagline, right? And so you left off on talking about this distinction. How do you define this distinction between the two?
Yes. All right. So I got 3 points I'm going to center everything on. The first is the fundamental difference between energy, so bosons and neutrinos, and that of matter. That's what I'm first focus on. In Paradigm Drift 6, when I was last on, I talked about how there are infinite wavelengths within each particle and how it's proven to be that of the Taylor series. Well, what I believe to be the case is that if you were to look at particles from, let's say, above and look down upon them, you see this finite area, like the Poincare disk model, and you have from front to back or back to front waves moving towards the center and getting larger the closer you get to the center, and getting smaller as they get to the other end of it, and it continues for infinities. All these wavelengths come forth within this finite space, and the spaces in between, the larger the space in between, so the less frequent these wavelengths appear, that's what you would consider light or any boson. And the more compact or more frequent these wavelengths appear, that'll be considered matter. And I associate, and I feel this not only applies to regular particles, but also dark particles as well. So dark matter and dark energy would have the same properties. And but the difference is when a black hole absorbs any sort of particle, it compresses particles to such a degree that it becomes unable to interact with regular particles. So their wavelengths become so compressed that they can't be detected by most regular non-dark particles. And because they're so compressed and so small, as they're able to slip through in between wavelengths of all particles, essentially, regular particles, they are able to function as tachyons. And that's what essentially dark particles represent.
Okay. So, Michael, do you have thoughts?
I kind of liked where you're going, but I feel like you guys, as the physicists, should take it from here, right? I like the taglines, but...
Well, okay, so the problem is, you've been gone for the entire...
I just heard black holes, yeah. You probably don't want me to weigh in on this.
He's just upset. But I'm like, okay, so tachyons, my rudimentary understanding of tachyons is faster than light particles that lose energy to gradually become light speed particles. Is that more or less accurate?
That's what I've heard, but I feel like that's not, from my perspective, I don't think that's the case, only because with light has more space in between wavelengths, and because it has more space in between, it's able to be bogged down less by particles of matter that have more wavelengths with them. So they're able to they have more chances to drag them down.
Okay, so I have another question. When you think about fundamental physics and you think about stuff like light or tachyons or dark energy or dark matter or any of these things, do you have a picture in your mind that you use as a tool for constructing a model? Like, what is what are you thinking of as you describe?
What do you see?
Yeah, what do you see in your mind's eye as you describe all this stuff?
I see essentially like a circle that represents the field that would be the particle, and these waves go from the top end or the bottom end, and they move to the opposite end, so they flow.
So it's like on the surface of the circle, you have this. So you have an involuting torus.
Yeah.
It's like there's a signal that comes out the top, and it comes across the surface, and then it gets forced into the bottom.
Well, not necessarily a torus, but more so, it's more like a spear. And the wave goes from the top end and it moves downward or upward or downward, moving upward. So it's more like a wave that flows.
But don't you? Okay, so that's an interesting thing.
Like a circulation?
Yes, it is a circulation. But in order to have a circulation, you have to have a source and you have to have a sink.
Yeah, the spin. The spin essentially affects. So if it goes clockwise or counterclockwise, it affects where the waves move. So if I believe if it moves clockwise, it would go from top to bottom, and if it were counterclockwise, it would move from bottom up.
Okay, so basically, like that's kind of what I'm trying to say. So that you your mental picture is that it's hard for me to imagine it as being anything except for a torus. There's a piece of mathematics. Go ahead.
Do you know Nassim Haramein? It kind of reminds me of that.
Oh, Nassim? Yeah, I know him.
How do you feel like your work is very different from Nassim's work, or do you feel like it's somehow related to his work?
There's some similarities, but I go into a lot of other stuff too about how forces are formed, what causes matter and antimatter to cancel each other out, and essentially, as well as how charges are formed and things like that. So I go into all that too, but I just wanted to bring this up first.
How did you get interested in this?
Who are you, man? Where are you at, by the way? Like physically, what part of the universe?
Mars. He's the first human on Mars.
I'm South Carolina.
South Carolina.
I'm from New York, but I live in South Carolina.
Right on. Are you academic? What's your situation? Do you work with other people on this?
He's a musician.
You're a musician? Is that true?
No, it's self-taught. It's just I've always been focused on physics ever since I was little, and just something I've always been focused on throughout my whole life.
I love it.
What do you do except for physics?
Currently, right now, I'm in the process of Social Security, so just working with that.
The government.
Yeah, and not working with like benefits.
Oh, benefiting from the government, right on.
many people.
Hey, we benefit from the government too. No shame there.
But in terms of your interests,
yeah,
like you have this.
How do you spend your time?
Scientific interests.
Focus on like philosophy, poetry.
Oh, cool.
Poet. I knew he was a poet.
What kind of poetry do you write?
A mixture of like romantic stuff, also dark stuff, like therapeutic things about like my trauma, my experiences. So just examining a lot of that stuff.
What's at the core of your trauma?
Emotional neglect, a lot of emotional trauma.
Like childhood?
Definitely. Yeah. I was told, from my mother that I wasn't going to succeed.
Oh, shit.
Physics and things that sort. So it's kind of, I do a lot of stuff because it's a true desire of mine, as well as wanting to disprove, let's say, people who didn't think much.
Yeah, man, me too. That's exactly my story too. Absolutely.
True. Absolutely. I have yet to convince my family to care about any of the things that we're doing.
We're all traumatized like this.
In that sense.
It's so funny.
Okay.
Dude, I want to read your poetry. Where do you publish this stuff anywhere? I'm sorry, I didn't interrupt you.
No. It's okay. I'm currently working on a book now. I got 3 books published. I'm working on two more at the moment.
3 books published?
I was like, Master, finish the fucking book.
Good lord, we don't even have a single one out yet.
Michael has finished 3. You can't even finish
Jesus.
1.
That's amazing.
Are they science books or poetry books?
Science books mostly, philosophy books, science books, and all that. The poetry books / mini memoirs, what I'm working on in a novel. So I'm working on those in a moment.
Hell yeah.
Do you feel like the physics is informed by the philosophy and the poetry?
Yes, it greatly affects it. I feel that, throughout the history of science, I believe philosophy was integral to coming up with all the theories and ideas that we eventually experiment on to prove. So I feel philosophy is integral to science.
Michael Hughes looks like he's just raring to say something.
He's about to read us a
Don't
book.
mind to interrupt.
You're doing it all. I am a huge fan. Like poetry is, like I tend to try and be as economical with, pack the most meaning into the smallest value that we can. And whenever you answer our questions on physics, you're always cutting right to the chase of exactly what we're asking about, of where in your model you recreate what we're asking about. And so I think that's really cool that you have all these facets together and they kind of like harmonize in this interesting way. I'm just really appreciative of you sharing your work with us.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on here.
And Michael's a bit of a poet too, and honestly, Nasi and I obsess over it too. It is it might be the hardest art form in the whole canon.
This is actually like a cryptic project to bring poetry to the masses, not science.
It is true, yeah. We have a podcast, but the reality is we're just trying to sell our poetry.
We're just ecstatic poets.
Michael, it's good to see you again, man. I appreciate you coming back.
There are 3 Michaels on screen. I'm in a Michael minority. Oh. There's a Hughes. There's a Wagner.
It's good to see both of them. Good Lord. God, what a good name, yeah. The Slayer of Demons, Michael. What a name. What's up with the spelling of your name? It's different than the way that Michael and I spell it.
Yeah, my mom wanted it to be pronounced Michael, so she chose that spelling, but my dad said, let's pronounce it Michael. So they compromised in essence.
Does Michael have some tradition to it or anything?
No, I think she just wanted me to have something different. All my siblings have more common names in their spelling. She just wanted me to have something different, I guess.
I feel like Michael is fitting. It pushes you into this like astral realm a little bit.
I always found it weird that people they ascribe names that have already been used before. I always found that
like
kind of strange.
Every name should be new.
Why not?
God, that'd be so chaotic.
Would it?
Yeah. In Russian, there's only 2 names, really, Lena and Yura. If you go to
Dima?
Russian, Dima, Lena, Yura. Everybody is named that. Occasionally, you get a Nastya. But no, I like Michael as just this.
Nasi approves of your name. Look, dude, we love you, man. I think you should keep signing up. This is fascinating. You always come with something interesting. And anyways, I want to read your poetry. So where do we find your works at? You have a website. You told us last time. Tell us again.
Yeah. You can find my books on Amazon and you can see my videos on YouTube. Just type in my first and last name. It'll pop up. And my links are on my videos.
Michael
might be one of the only published authors on this entire game. I mean, like, people blog. Everybody blogs. Yeah. But, like, you might be the only published author in this entire game. I guess there's scientific papers, Michael, but still, like, books are different.
Yeah, I tried to publish a paper in 2020, and it was on quantum dynamics and stuff like that, and, like, fourth dimension stuff and everything. And they were interested in the paper, but then when I made the account, the Orsted account, and they had to see like my affiliations and all that stuff. Since I'm self-taught, I don't have that stuff, so that's why they didn't publish it. But yeah.
Okay, let's talk more about your
affiliations.
Your fight against the demand for credentialism next time.
All right.
Yeah, Darwin didn't have a degree. Let's not forget.
That's true.
All right, guys. Michael, it's good to see you, man. Peace out. See ya. And guys, give me a hand. What is wrong with you? Come on.
Holman is up next. Jack. Just as Shiloh is getting into the full spookiness, Jack Coleman has arrived. All right, Jack. Oh, no, that's 30 seconds. Hold on. You
I
have a
can make
minute.
it 30 seconds.
Michael set a new standard.
I know. Oh no! Oh no! Things have happened.
We are hiring a full-time clock keeper. If anyone knows somebody who specializes in that.
Oh God, we need help.
Just count. You can.
I don't have 60 fingers. I run out. All right, are you ready?
He looks ready.
Yep.
All right, hit it, Jack.
Go.
So this is a continuation of last time, and all right, now we got it. And so yeah, I call it intelligent evolution. I guess I will call it physics of evolution, and it's basically trying to explain how anything evolves. Like, why would anything change when we have this absolute or state that we think just kind of coalesces to another state, and then we say that's an evolution. But how would a particle actually change? How would something move or blend into another thing, that we call evolution? Essentially, how do we become like extraterrestrials? How do we become more advanced? How do we become like ascended masters? How do they do it? And so it has to be physics. It can't be magic. And so my theory was to explain that, and the way to solve that is to realize that consciousness is matter itself. That's not one before the other, or vice versa. They're the same thing.
All right. This is guys. Come on.
I didn't think
I understand there was 55 seconds of preamble and 5 seconds of theory, but the end result is important. Consciousness and matter are the same. Consciousness and physics are the same.
They're exactly the same
You should
thing.
start there next time. I think that's probably the...
Wait, is this just analytic idealism?
No, no, I don't think so. Is this just analytic idealism, Jack?
It could be anything that you want to call it. Literally, I mean, I wanted to come up with a theory that's all encompassing. So basically, what would be a theory of everything without exclusion? And every theory that I've ever heard of that is a theory of everything always comes with a condition or an exclusion. And that means that it's not a truly infinite theory. So it doesn't truly describe the infinity of life. And so what I wanted to try and understand was, why is there this paradox of infinity with the finite? Because we look at the finite world as life itself. And so, how would infinity collapse into something finite and also go back into infinity? So that would be like, the particle going to a wave, an infinite wave or continuum, and then snapping back into a particle. They would literally have to be of the same construct in order for that to happen. It's not one separate of the other. And so there's a way to explain all of that so that it is one single construct that can be infinite and finite at the same time. And so then you have this this unification of what I think is the hardest unification, which is mind and matter. That is the kind of, I don't want to say the end, but because there's no end to infinity, but it is like the hardest thing.
They do call it the hard problem, after all.
Exactly.
They do call it the hard problem. It is hard.
But it doesn't have to be so hard. It's stubbornness, in my opinion. So basically,
we should start calling it the stubborn problem. That's excellent. The stubborn problem of consciousness.
The stubborn theory.
Michael, what do you think, man?
I think it's super curious. So you said you want to come up with, in a sense, like a theory of everything. And it sounds to me like you kind of ended up on evolution as like the theory of everything. Or is that well said, or what is more? I call it that because that was the first name that I gave it back in like 2012. But yeah, I have like several different names for it. But it is an explanation for why things change and why there's an infinite amount of potential within a finite, kind of like a finite aspect of life. So essentially, why would the only constant be change? It'd be like trying to answer these
paradoxes that that we seem to call philosophical, and we just say, well, we'll never know, or we try to find another particle to explain the last particle, and then another particle to explain that last particle, and it's like, when does it end? Where do we have when do we realize that there are an infinite amount of particles, and they're all the same thing, but just smaller scales, different flavors, different densities, maybe different shapes, and so it's all essentially it comes down to duality and singularity. That is the simplest construct of all of life. There's nothing that doesn't operate based on this one principle of two becoming one, one becoming two.
And is that where you tie in your idea?
And we can call that energy.
The infinite and finite, like switching between these two, is that the duality part?
Yeah, so one would be the infinite, there's nothing before that, and two would be the duality, so you have polarity. And so when you have polarity, you have oscillation. You have masculine, feminine, you have light, dark, you have love, hate, you have good, evil. You have any sort of opposition. You need opposition in order to have vibration or spin or anything that we would attribute to energy. And so you have to have duality in order to have life. And we just call that energy. And that's why we use that word energy for so many different aspects of life, yet they all seem to be something different. So the most fundamental way to explain energy, which is the entire universe, is to realize it's all polarity playing itself out. And that's why we have things like music, and every string theory, vibration theory. Sorry.
Jack, do you view yourself as a physicist or a mystic or somewhere in between?
In between, I'm kind of like Michael, self-taught. I was just really frustrated with spirituality and also physics, because spirituality has such a prevalent name and value in society, so it has to be something real. It can't be made up like what scientists would say, and they say it's just imaginary, and so that's what makes it real. I wanted to be able to explain why imagination is something real and why, it literally manifests as something real. And then I realized, oh, wow, that's actually going to be the unification of the magic and the physical, the spiritual and the physical duality that don't seem to connect in our current understanding. So
I hate to be a Debbie Downer, but isn't there like a fundamental problem with the fact that imagination is actually distinctly not real until somebody does? No, until look, you can imagine.
It's not physical.
Well, no, look. I think that it's very, very important to equate real with tangible.
Yeah. Where's my sound effect?
No. All right.
Where's my sound effect?
So I would say if you have that as a rule or a condition, then you will always be right. So your condition.
Great, excellent. No more. We can just let you go.
Yeah, I mean,
sorry, if I could just weigh in, I feel like the problem is that physics is only one part of reality. And for some godforsaken reason, we as a civilization have given the physicists supreme authority over the universe, which is a very bizarre decision. And I don't even know if it was a decision so much as
the reason that we have given the physicists influence over the universe is because you can have a thought and it can be meaningful and it could be significant. There are many, many words that you can use to describe a thought which give it weight, like spiritual weight. But that thought does not become real until the body that contains the thought takes action in the world to transmute the thought from the abstract into the real. And so if we assume that the thought is real, this is the thing. Every single person here must have had the experience. I refuse to believe that you haven't, which is that when you think about doing something, or you think about accomplishing something, and then you tell it to another person, and then the psychic pressure that forces you into doing things vanishes. And so once you have told the person about the thing, you don't end up doing it.
Exactly. But what is the thinker? So essentially, you said the body contains the thought. And so my question for you then is just like how people say, the body contains the soul, the body is a meat sack for the soul. If I cut you open, will I find these thoughts? And so then you will say, I will not find a thought. I will just find another smaller physical thing, and then we have another label for that. So the only way to really solve this, are thoughts inside of me or outside of me? Are they real or unreal? Is to say, or find an explanation. We don't have to just say without any explanation, but to have an explanation that they are the same thing. So you are the soul in this physical finite form. So everything that we see in you right now is your soul. And
That's
I know
true, but if I don't do anything with the impulses that I experience right, because there's an internal part of the soul. This is the part of the thought part. That is what the thoughts are. It's like, I should build a device that makes everyone rich and no longer hungry. Great.
Yeah.
That's a thought. That's not fucking real, man. Like, when
But
you
what
build
is the I? What is the I in that
That's
statement?
different. Hold on. Don't distract me.
Michael looks like he's got something.
So I'm kind of curious because you talk about this about duality a lot, and this idea of the infinite and finite. And I had so following this like a spiritual bend, I had learned of like the Trinity as representing the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. So the Father being the infinite, the Son being the finite, and then the Holy Spirit being the relationship between the two. And so I'm curious of what if you think much about like three fully or like beyond duality and how they play together.
Yeah. Personally, I think the more numbers, or the higher up in numbers we go, the more it's I would say expanding outward from this principle of singularity. So if I need three components to make up what would be infinite, why can't I use two? And why can't I use one? So, if someone
Sound like
wants
a computer scientist now. They understand.
Yeah, I mean binary code, and so basically you have information as ones and zeros, and notice how the one is completely opposite of the zero. It's literally the exact opposite shape. So we constantly have this principle of polarity that's playing out. No matter what it is that we're talking about, it's always equal and opposites, and I call them pressure differentials. And so that pressure differential of two polarities has a particular ratio, and that one ratio would be maybe like that Holy Spirit. It might be like that balance point, and that balance point is actually what we call harmony. Or what would be a particular note within a full. Am I getting played off? Thank you. That was lovely.
Just adding a little harmony to the mix.
Oh, nice.
I don't know,
yeah.
Jack. Maybe we should keep it moving. Who the hell are you, though? By the way, I forget. Where do you live?
We're medicine?
Are you're a medical guy?
I do take medicine.
No. You're
no.
in medicine.
Are you a doctor?
No. No, it was in PEMF therapy.
That's basically medicine.
Wait, what?
Kind
Physical
of.
education and math therapy.
Oh, you're a gym teacher.
Don't do that to the guy.
What? I love gym class. That was, when I was a substitute teacher, that was my favorite class to teach.
It is true.
That's cool. Oh, yeah.
Okay, I think that it would be interesting.
Sorry, I want to... God.
Go.
Where are you at physically?
Right now, I'm home for the holidays in Indiana, but I was in Hawaii, so I'll be going back there.
That's right.
In New Year's.
Lucky devil.
There's a really crazy nexus of like Indiana to Hawaii.
Are you kidding me?
I'm serious.
No way.
No, I'm serious. I have a disproportionate number of people in my life that are from Indiana.
But go to Hawaii a lot?
No, Hawaii is like, Indiana is the source of this node. Hawaii is the drain in some like weird and strange way that I haven't mapped out. But Indiana seems to be producing people at a disproportionate rate.
All right.
Maybe there's more people in Indiana that I expect.
Maybe we should let Michael run the rest of the podcast.
Come to Indianapolis. All right, Craig.
Oh, good lord. All right, Jack. It was cool to see you, man.
Come back again.
Yeah, let's do it again.
Come back again.
You guys are awesome.
We have the last person of the night, which is Sergey. Sergey, you are up. Everybody else,
Thanks, Jack.
it's next time. Thank you, Jack. It's nice. All right, welcome, Sergey. You have exactly 1 minute on the clock. Whenever you are ready, we're ready for you.
What's up, guys? So I'll be talking about natural mechanics, which is a fundamental physics theory that uses classical physics to model physical phenomena. So this is not my work, but I do know the author pretty well. And the reason why this is compelling to me personally, it does have physical analogs for things in physics that are considered intrinsic, including mass, spin, gravity, and yes, even charge, like he called me out in the comments. And it does this by treating them as emergent properties from one substrate. So it's like ether tangent kind of, but ether to me is separate from the stuff inside the ether. So it's a bit different. This is more unified. But that's why I'm excited to talk to you guys about it, because I just discovered you a couple weeks and it seems like the theme of some stuff that you guys are interested in. So that's why I'm bringing it here.
Hey! All right, come on, guys. Let's do it. Yeah, all right.
Welcome, Sergey.
First time on the show, Sergey.
All right, Michael.
Seems like a bin of questions. All right, Michael, you're in charge.
You guys' specialty, but I thought that was a great minute of introducing. But I'm curious. So you talk about natural mechanics is the idea that you're sharing, right? And it's the title for it. And so, how is this differing from our current mechanics to start with, right?
Yeah, the name natural mechanics actually helped name this framework. And the reason why it's called natural is because there's some natural units that fundamentally arise from it. And the way it's different from, I guess, regular mechanics is there's a unified front from where physical phenomena emerge, rather than having, general relativity or quantum mechanics as two fronts.
What does this unified front look like, right? So I guess, how do you reconcile these or gloss over that problem by not even dealing with it and doing this unified front approach?
Yeah, no problem. I can explain the entire universe, all physics in a sec.
What's the fundamental?
Yeah, we're waiting.
What's the fundamental separating point? What is the main difference in this approach?
Yeah. The way this is modeled is there's one substrate, and it's the fabric of the universe, and it has the potential to hold stress energy density or energy, and it's
so far so good. Fabric, I like it. That makes sense.
You have a fabric, and the way it's modeled in this framework is at every point within this medium, you have a isotropic, meaning in all directions from the center, a tension.
Sure.
Or a force, depending on how stress force, depending on how you model it. And because of that, if you took a cross-sectional area, for example, and you're just physically looking at this thing, if each stress energy density was equal, there wouldn't be motion or movement. But as soon as you have a point where it's less or more dense than the other, then you'd have a distribution or movement towards the, just like a gas or whatever it is that you're modeling. And so the way particles arise or emerge from this framework is there's a threshold that at a certain maximum energy density, this medium passes on that stress energy density to the next sort of like Newton's cradle.
Oh, like a network effect. I feel like we're
Like it's like growing outwards, but it's directional. It's not a uniform sphere of influence that grows. Well, oh shit, this is like the mean free path that we were talking about earlier, right? Where it's like it passes the momentum along, but it's not like it passes the momentum along in a uniform sphere. It passes it directionally.
Yes, exactly, and it's specifically the energy, the stress energy that's being passed over, rather than the medium moving. So it's not this physical thing that's moving, unless you consider, I suppose, stress energy physical. Different.
The stress energy thing sounds like metric tensors from Einstein, like general relativity, classical stuff. But
yes.
You're applying this on the fine scale too, I assume. How do you reconcile that scale boundary?
Well, so basically at this threshold, just let me give you the visual picture here.
Yes.
At a specific threshold, the energy moves, but it moves. It begins an oscillation of the energy itself, and it follows this sort of figure 8 pattern, and that local boundary is what we register as a particle.
So it's a torus.
Stop seeing toruses
Wait,
everywhere.
It's a fucking torus. A figure 8 pattern in space is a goddamn torus.
Sure, but that's if you're talking about maybe the inner bounds of it.
Well, no. I mean, like, that's what it means. Like, you can't. How do you make a figure 8 without a torus?
I don't know all the different ways you can make a figure.
Well, no, but that's what I'm trying to say. Like, the figure 8 is literally like, what is a figure 8 laid onto its side? It's basically the fact that you have a surface that you go up like this, and then you have to go down through the center, and then you have to go back up the other side. It's literally like, stop
Sorry,
it! You're such a jerk. Do you understand what I live with day in and day out? The figure 8 is a torus. The infinity sign is a torus. If you're talking about something that has a local 0 at the intersection, it has to be a torus. What the fuck is this?
It's like when it's like I see dead people. You just start seeing toruses everywhere at some point.
Whatever. I sign off.
Yeah.
You and Mike.
Michael, what's up? Save us.
I mean, I think that Taurus is like one of those base shapes of the universe, right? So it makes sense that we end up here. But you're talking about like floating around equilibrium around the like 0 point, but a particle like kind of like tracing this path. But and so is in a sense like is that center point kind of this average, or does that matter in this at all?
You can think of it as a particle, but like say for example, you grab a fabric and you oscillate it like this. The boundary inside of it that's oscillating is what you register as a particle, but the area around it is still tied to the medium.
Absolutely.
So it's not a separate thing.
No,
Okay,
that's
my point is that there has to be, in order for that to be true, like I think that you're like 99% of the way there.
I agree.
The only point of it that has to be true is that in order for it to oscillate like that, what you're saying is that it has to have a sink. Like, where do we see oscillations like that? It's inside of vortices, right? Like, let's say like not oscillation. Like, where do we see those patterns? We see those patterns inside of vortices where there's a source of motion and there's a sink of motion, right?
Right.
Like,
you have to have different nodes. Is that what you're trying to say?
I'm literally saying that there has to be a directional travel of the signal from the source to the sink in order for there to be flow.
Yes.
Like what you're trying to say is you're like, there's some kind of pattern that emerges in the substrate of the universe.
Yes.
And it looks like a vortex. It looks like what you're describing.
Stop trying to feed everybody your theory of everything.
Stop it. You're literally saying, you're like, look, there's like a pattern where it twists like this. And I'm like, look, the twist is the super, it's like the super pattern. It is the thing that emerges from some fundamental physical pattern. And the thing that you're looking for is a drain. Like, the vortex comes from a drain. That's how we know vortices to be. That's
Okay.
what tornadoes are. That's what Coriolis effects, like, that's why the Coriolis effect in the northern hemisphere is different from the southern hemisphere. And when you flush a toilet, it flows in one way versus the other way. There's some different force that shapes the vortex as it drains.
Yeah, I'm following you. Let me try to put my thoughts around that. I'm going to shoot myself in the foot here, but I'm not a physicist nor a mathematician.
That's fine.
How dare you?
I'm not a mathematician. I think that it's possible to derive these things from first principles, and that's what I think that's the game that we're playing here.
Yes.
Like, we're not playing the game of, like, can you give us the equation? We're playing the game of, like, can you reason your way to this? And you have a calculus. Look at the spines. I can't see the
Hey, he probably knows more about math than us.
Except for calculus.
He's got a calculus book, for God's
I
sake.
don't know more. I've only been formally doing anything for a few years here with this.
I'm a numerate. Like, I can do no calculations.
Well, okay, don't worry about.
By the way, but this would be insane. Sorry, I can't let this go before I forget.
Yeah.
You said it wasn't your theory. Whose theory is it?
It's this person. His name is Martin Gibson, and he's 75 years old. Also a hobbyist. Been doing this for like 30 years or so. As far as I'm aware, I'm the only person who's read his work, but he's got just thousands of pages of
What?
these technical.
How did you find this guy?
I was trying to learn calculus, and funny enough, I was starting a podcast. I was trying to talk about physics because I was interested in it, and I thought that was one avenue along with a formal study. And I was just studying. He was just helping with some calculus, and then I found out that he's got some original work. So he sent me some PDFs, and I read them.
That's crazy.
What's his name?
Martin Gibson.
Martin Gibson.
Yeah. And he's probably, if he saw me try to explain,
he's like screaming in the background. No, it's fine.
Like, Jesus, what are you talking about? But do you mind if I actually try to give you a picture here? So, yes, source sync. I barely just finished electromagnetic. My final is actually next week, Tuesday, on General Physics 2 in college. So I'm super. Let me try to explain this. So as this thing is going around, yes, there are different points. Just like with any oscillatory movement, where there's a maximum point of transfer between kinetic and potential energy, right? And so those swings of energy is your. I think what you're trying to say is the source and sink is what we're looking for, because there's at this boundary there's going to be a location as it's swinging back.
A source is an excess. A sink is a deficit.
I think that this could be it, though, right? Because so what you're saying is that you're going to take kinetic energy and then transfer that to the sink of like potential energy, but there has to be something that's like going to, right? And so you have this vortex that's radiating.
That's an energetically unfavorable
Stop being
reaction.
so disagreeable.
No, it's important. I think that Sergey is actually onto something really, really important. And I think that there's some fundamental physical processes that we have not covered.
What is it? But he sounds like the pendulum is a good example.
The pendulum is a thing, but the language of like transfer, I guess the language of transferring from kinetic to potential energy is a fairly common language.
Well, it's physical because if you have a part of the oscillation which has the most maximum kinetic energy, means physically moving the most, this part of the medium can't go into it. It's being pushed out, but the part from the back end is being pulled in. Because you're going like this. There's parts, do you know what I'm saying? And it's three-dimensional, so I do think it kind of fits the source and sink. But forgive me, maybe I'm not.
No, I think that you are, but I think that they're not primary. Like, in the sense that, like, what you're doing is you're describing, like, you have this vortex. And on one side of the vortex, you have the source, and on the other side, you have the sink, right? But, like, the vortex itself is reacting to something that is happening outside of it. Like, I think it has to be. No?
No, there's a tension.
Okay.
Right? If you flick a string, it's going to go up and down because of its elastic properties.
But it's not a vortex, and there's a reason that a string...
But it's a one-dimensional string. If you have a three-dimensional substrate, which has a tension from all sides, that's isotropic from the center pushing outwards, that is your source of why things move.
Yeah, he's just talking about kind of like a local filamentary tension.
I mean, I think that the local filament. Look, the reason that I'm so invested in this is because I think that what you are describing is incredibly important for understanding fundamental physics.
I think that the one thing that I would like push you towards is that you keep pointing to this analogy of your fabric. I think you should really think hard about the actual structure of your fabric.
Oh, that's fascinating. Okay, so like Shiloh and I are constantly talking about people that have ether theories.
Yeah, and almost none of them think about the structure of their fabric.
0% of people with ether theories have a material understanding of like what it means for a substance to deform.
Or to have tension, to bear tension. Like, what is the physical act of bearing tension? I mean, I think that first of all, I really like you. You seem like you seem impassioned, you're interested.
I'm not hard on people that I don't like. I'm hard on people that I like. Which is maybe not good for the
I think it's cool, man. You're just starting your studies and you're seeking material explanations. You're still kind of digging into the academic track and everything. This is a good sign. We need more people like you out there in the world.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I don't know, man. I think you should come back, sign up again. But I would love for you to contemplate in the time between now and then the fabric, the structure of these dynamics, because I think the elastic tensile medium is promising, but I don't think anyone's completely nailed the structural aspects of it yet. And Nasi is kind of trying to push some structural stuff on you, but
I'm basically trying to say that there are fundamental material principles that underpin the dynamics that you're pointing to. There's a reason
Sorry, go ahead.
No. I'm just saying that there's a reason that something is a source versus a reason that something is a sink. And I think that it has to do with like excess and deficit.
If I could politely push back on this concept that you guys are talking about.
Oh, all right.
Material. I think you can get to the bottom of material, and then you can't ask any more questions about what is this material. And it sounds like a deflective answer, but if there is a sort of tension or a force, and this energy is being oscillating through the fabric, I think at some point you get the emergent properties of the things that we measure, like tension, like oscillations. These are just, you register them through whatever means, but what exactly do you mean by material?
Oh, that's a great question. Yeah, you have to. I could tell you what I mean, but I think that you should contemplate what you mean by it in the future.
Look, Shiloh is right, but on the same point, what I'm trying to say is that, like, if you are talking about forces, you cannot talk about forces without mediators. Forces are not primary to physics. I think that we have come to accept forces as being primary. We talk about forces as primary. We talk about forces as being primary all the time, but I think that that's a mistake. I think that that is like some kind of funhouse.
Well, it's good for engineering and stuff.
It's good for engineering because as long as you have material and you can say that this is like these are the forces that it generates under load or whatever, it works. But I think that what I'm trying to say is that the fundamental project of physics, the one that you're on, which I think that you are on because I see the spirit in you that seeks to understand the fundamental, where it's like you're talking about vortices. And those are important, right? Because like this twist that you illustrate, that's a vortex. That is some material from some place draining to a different place. And what I'm trying to say is that you need a material theory for why that happens. And if you have a material theory for why that happens, you will solve physics.
You'll be the king of the world.
You will be the king.
The king.
Sergey will be the king.
Yeah, but you have to define that word for you. We're not going to do it for you.
You have to choose that having a material explanation matters to you. I feel like some people just like don't care. That's our bend because that's our right, and we think that it'll go somewhere. But you don't have to do what Anastasia tells you to.
No.
God bless the chemist.
Look, this is the thing. There are many mathematical explanations. I'm going to insist on this before Shiloh plays me off the stage with a gigantic vaudeville cane. Like, look, the mathematics are important. The dynamics are very, very important. Absolutely. And there's one level that lives eternally above the dynamics, which is this, and scientists will try to tell you that this is philosophy, because you're going to ask, why do the dynamics look that way? And they're going to tell you that that's not science, that's philosophy. But my friend, Sergey, that is the science. The science that you are trying to understand is why it looks that way. It's not just how it looks. It is this beautiful picture of why. And you are on that track, and that is extraordinary, and I think you can get it.
I think we are all on that track.
It is true, but
I think that makes this one of the greatest paradigm drifts of all time. And you have closed it out, Sergey. Congratulations. And my goodness, what an evening.
Do you want to give Michael Hughes the last?
Yeah, Michael,
doctor,
please.
The good doctor, give us the last
bow
word.
on this thing for us.
I'm a huge fan of anything at the bottom with a pressure differential motivating anything. I'm immediately a fan of what you're throwing out there. I think that you're on a. It sounds fascinating coming across this gentleman, Martin Gibson, and following this work and just seeing all this insight in it. I think that's a cool journey. I've gone, similar from my end. So I'm excited to hear more what you have to share in the future. For sure.
Thank you, Sergey. Guys, let's give Sergey a round of applause, man. This is fantastic.
Come on. Next time, I want to hear more.
Good luck with your finals, dude. Crush it. Show those physicists what's up. Michael, what do you think, man?
Great night.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think a few themes. Gonna harp on pressure differentials again. Came up with times.
Objects pushing each other out of the way, man. That's what it all comes down to, as far as I'm concerned.
I think also, this recognition that, things have to be certain ways, right? You have to have a sync like this. I think that is this interesting thing that we're kind of looking for. I like that these themes keep coming up, but people had great presentations tonight. I feel like we've come a long way since paradigm drift, right? People, they get to a point and they post it and they start backing it up. It's a tagline and intro. It's to get us to ask you a question that you want to be asked. And I think people are really getting there. It's been a great night.
Man, Michael, I appreciate you so much for being here, and I just feel like you have become paradigm drift. And that's it. Good Lord, we've done it again, everybody. This is amazing.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna jam for a while, and thank you all for being here. Michael, thank you so much for being here, man.
We couldn't do it without you, Michael.
Yeah.
We couldn't do it without everybody else.
But hang with you all.
See you in January. Have a good New Year. Happy Hanukkah. Merry Christmas. All the rest. Whatever pagan holidays you celebrate.
Yuletide. Wait, I think.